sweet as gold. In Canada, maple syrup isn't just food, it's identity. Each spring, the sap flows through the forests of Quebec, and the syrup that comes from it becomes a billion-dollar industry. To protect prices and regulate supply, producers created the Federation of Quebec Maple Syrup Producers, which built a massive warehouse to store surplus syrup, the Global Strategic Maple Syrup Reserve. Think of it as a giant national vault, but instead of gold bars, it held barrels of syrup stacked to the ceiling. And in 2011, someone decided to rob it. The sweet setup. The thieves' plan was genius in its simplicity. They didn't break in with force. They rented space inside the warehouse, legally. This gave them access to the building, the barrels, and the syrup. Each night, they'd quietly siphon syrup from the official barrels into their own containers, refill the empties with water, and send the real stuff away by truck. To make the operation look legitimate, they forged transport documents and sold the syrup to unsuspecting buyers across Quebec, New Brunswick, and the United States. For months, the Federation never noticed a thing. But syrup is heavy. And one day, when an inspector tried to climb a stack of barrels, one wobbled and fell. It was empty. That single barrel blew the entire operation wide open. Sticky business. Investigators soon discovered that millions of liters of syrup had vanished. The reserve, which was supposed to contain over 16,000 barrels, was missing thousands, replaced with fakes filled with water. The theft was worth over $18 million. At first, it sounded absurd, but as detectives dug deeper, they uncovered a sophisticated smuggling ring. The ringleader, Richard Vallières, was a middleman in the syrup trade who used his industry connections to move stolen syrup through the supply chain. He was joined by Etienne Saint-Pierre, a syrup reseller from New Brunswick, and several insiders who worked in transportation and warehouse management. They'd pull off heists over weekends, use hidden trucks to move the syrup, and forge records to hide the trail. By 2012, the Federation realized this wasn't just theft, it was economic sabotage. The maple syrup cartel controlled 70% of the world's supply, and this heist threatened to destabilize the entire market. The investigation. The Sûreté du Québec, Canada's provincial police, launched Operation Sticky, a full-scale investigation involving over 250 officers. Forensic teams tested barrels, traced syrup through distribution networks, and followed the money. When police raided a rural sugar shack and found stolen barrels stacked in barns and garages, they finally had proof. In 2012, dozens of people were arrested. During his trial, Vallières maintained he was merely buying and reselling, not stealing. But evidence showed he personally earned millions in profits and helped coordinate the smuggling network. The court sentenced him to 8 years in prison, ordered him to pay $9 million in restitution, and ruled that if he didn't pay, his sentence would increase to 14 years. Aftertaste of greed. Even after the arrests, much of the syrup was gone for good. Authorities recovered about 2/3 of it, but the rest had vanished into breakfast tables around the world. The story became a global sensation. Late-night shows joked about it, documentaries were made, and even Netflix turned it into a hit series, Dirty Money, The Maple Syrup Heist. But behind the humor was something darker, a reminder that greed seeps everywhere. Vallières wasn't driven by hunger or desperation. He was driven by ego, the belief he could outsmart an entire industry. And he almost did. The sweetest crime. Today, the global maple syrup reserve still exists, heavily guarded, locked tight, and monitored with new technology. But in Quebec, people still whisper about the thieves who treated syrup like gold, and the inspector who stumbled into one of the strangest crimes in modern history. The Great Canadian Maple Syrup Heist wasn't just about money, it was about temptation, proof that even sweetness can be corrupted. After all, in crime, everything has value, even breakfast. If this story gave you a sugar rush, pour some syrup on that like button. It's 100% pure Canadian approval. And don't forget to subscribe to TimeStory before someone replaces your morning coffee with pancake mix. More unbelievable true stories coming soon. No waffles were harmed in the making of this video.